issues, helps people in Mongolia in the long run, right? Which policy helps more Africans is going to be my first point, direct rebuttal. Secondly, I'm going to be summing up this whole intentions matter, maybe even actions and omissions don't kind of side of the debate. And then finally, I will be defending what these guys said, and I'll be talking about in my third point that omissions matter, right? Like this whole baby machine thing, except I'll be talking about trolleys because people are sick about babies, right? So firstly, which policy helps more Africans, right? What we've said is we can possibly send them giant, massive tons of rice now, allowing them to have an economic setup like via charities. And what they've said is free markets will eventually help them, right? That eventually, because of international trade, blah, 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 they'll eventually develop to the same kind of stage. That's what they've run. So we say, how do you judge these? Well, we say in 1,000 years, right, the level of development in Africa will be roughly the same by either of these criteria. The free market will have taken its course, and they will be equally developed. What we say is if you look 5 years down the line, Africa will still be fucked. Right? No, thank you. Free markets take a huge time to actually make things change, right? For Africans to start, farming infrastructure and all of that will take ages. Whereas we say we can alleviate starvation, even if not all of the infrastructure, right now. So if you look at like the gross sum of the number of Africans we actually help, ours is better, just in terms of immediacy. No, thank you. That's point one. But secondly, he had this really interesting point in that, charity props up really bad African states, right? So all charity is bad. Well, firstly, aren't some African countries not bad? I don't know a lot about Africa, and Fred seems to be nodding. So there are some failed states where charity does work. No, thank you. In those cases, does our argument hold? Are you saying some African countries and not all? No, thank you. But that's kind of a fun point to throw in. But the more interesting one is, the free market is what actually props up failed African states, right? I mean, corruption is so endemic. How do you think companies like Shell get into Nigeria, right? How do you think companies like Nike actually get into Mongolia? No, thank you. They're the people that pay the biggest amount of bribes to be able to operate there, right? I mean, command economies are also a general feature of these. So profits that the company makes there and pays tax there means that they actually go to supporting the state. And remember, companies are taxed. So if your argument is free markets prop up bad African states, no thank you, then, well, charities prop them up. Free markets prop them up just as much. So in terms of how many Africans, no thank you, does each policy help? Well, it's kind of like a no-brainer on the sense that you're equal on the corruption and propping up states point, right? But what we say, no thank you, is we help Africa now. You help it way, way later, which is why our policy helps more Africans. So that's the rebuttal, right? So let's talk about why intentions matter. I gave that horrific example that I gave in my previous speech that none of you understood. So let me try and simplify it, right? Even if two things lead to the same outcome, if for one of them, my intention is horrific, and for the other one, my intention is benevolent, we tend to give you moral praise and absolve you of moral responsibility if you have a benevolent intention. But if you were trying to kill somebody and just happen to help them, we tend to, try and prosecute you, or at least say you're morally reprehensible. That was the bullet analogy, right? So my point is that even if they're Adam Smith prop help, like even if we don't think about helping African people, no thank you, we'll help them in the long run through the free market helps. We don't care, because your intentions were still selfish. The entire point of the free market is you're trying to benefit yourself, and a fun ancillary benefit is that those people in Africa don't starve anymore. We say you're still a moral monster that is still selfish, but just happens to live in a world where, you being selfish tends to help. Your intentions are still immoral. So that's the whole point about intentions matter, right? And that's why their prop just falls. I'll take your POI now, Justin.
I don't think you've explained why charity alleviates hunger in a more complex way than it gives them a bag of rice.
We have a lot of rice, right? Charities don't have a lot of money to buy this rice or ship it over. When we give them more money, they will be able to buy more rice and ship it over. Thus, children that can go to schools but are starving and so cannot make the walk to schools will be able to do this. When they are not starving, they will be able to make Xboxes for everybody. And once Xboxes make people in Africa happier, Africa will be a better place. I mean, you can comment on the analysis there, but the basic causal link is really easy, right? The fact is, we're stopping people from starving. We don't have to say that Africa will be an empirically better place. We'll just say they're not responsible for their starvation anymore. That's all we have to defend on this motion. So let's get on to the point that omissions matter, right? I've talked about why intentions don't matter. Let's talk about omissions mattering. Well, you have the trolley example, right? Which is that there's a train going on down a track, and the track splits in two. And on one side, there are three